As images of the released hostages began surfacing on social media this week, a different set of images have also begun making their rounds. As a backdrop, Israel agreed to release 3 terrorists from Israeli prisons for every 1 Jewish hostage that Hamas agreed to release from Gaza. As women, teenagers, and children are released from their horrific 50-day prison experience in Gaza, Israel haters have had the audacity to attempt to create a kind of moral equivalence between these innocent civilians and the Palestinian terrorists who are being released from Israeli prisons. As we dive into this topic, I want to get a couple of things straight. The so-called Palestinian children that you're seeing all over social media as being released from Israeli prisons, they are by no means innocent. Many of them are actually 16 to 18 years old, many even older than that, and most are in prison for attempted murder. The majority of hostages released from Gaza are women and small children, and 100% of them were taken captive simply because they are Jewish. Make no mistake, the Jewish captives in Gaza do not like their captors and were by no means treated well. All this and much more on today's episode. I'm Luke, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of anti-Israel propaganda and Jew hatred, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Please drop me a comment if you're a new subscriber or viewer to the channel. Please hit subscribe on YouTube or Rumble or Facebook or X. Our shows, full-length shows, are going up on X, formerly Twitter now. And our Instagram account was suspended and restored thanks to some much-needed help in the United States Senate, all in the course of the last week. So lots been happening. No better time to go and subscribe and follow on all of your favorite platforms. You can also join our breaking news Telegram channel. Link will be down in the description below. There's a lie going around social media. As you guys know, we're in day 4, or going on day 5 of the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, and batches of or groups of Israeli hostages are being released every day. Remains to be seen how long is this ceasefire going to hold, how many hostages will be released. But there's a lie going around social media that this is a hostage exchange. This is not a hostage exchange. We'll dive into this topic. First, watch this video.
The hostage exchange. It's a hostage exchange. Really? Okay, let's take a look at the innocent hostages being released on both sides of this exchange, shall we? This is Sharuk Dwayat, who posted on social media that she wanted to die a martyr before going and stabbing an Israeli in the head. This is Amelia Aloni. She's 5.
This is Nafaz Hamad, who was found guilty and sentenced to 12 years in prison for stabbing her Jewish neighbor in front of her children. This is Raz Asher and Aviv Asher. They're toddlers. Aviv is 2, and she's learning how to potty train. This is Mara Bakir, who stabbed a police officer while trying to take his weapon. This is Karen Munder and her 9-year-old son Ohad. Karen teaches kids with special needs. There is no moral comparison between these people, okay? And yet we are giving up 3 times as many charged or detained criminals as they are giving us innocent civilians that they stole from their homes. It doesn't make sense. And by the way, when the IDF captured a girl for stabbing someone in the head, they didn't kill her. They gave her a fair trial and then sentenced her to prison. This is not a genocide. It's rule of law. Not a genocide, a justice system.
So now that we have that clear that this was not a hostage exchange, because on the one hand, we have innocent civilians being released from their captivity in Gaza, and on the other hand, we have attempted murderers being released from Israeli prisons in a first world democratic justice system. I want to look at just a couple of the Palestinian terrorists who are being released from Israeli prisons. This information is from Palestinian Media Watch. Maysoon Musa, a Palestinian terrorist who stabbed and seriously wounded a 20-year-old female soldier at the Bethlehem checkpoint in 2015. Under interrogation by the Israeli security agency, she admitted her goal was to murder a soldier. She was released. Sharouk Dwayat, 18-year-old Palestinian terrorist in PFLP, that's the Palestinian Front for the Liberation of Palestine. She was a member of the PFLP who stabbed and wounded an Israeli civilian in Jerusalem's Old City on October 6, 2015. She was released. Aisha Afghani, Palestinian terrorist, attempted to stab Israelis in Jerusalem's Old City in 2016. Malak Suleiman, 16-year-old Palestinian terrorist and Islamic Jihad member who was convicted of attempted murder in February 2016. Mara al-Bakri, 16-year-old female Palestinian terrorist and Hamas member who stabbed an Israeli border policeman at a light rail station in Jerusalem, 2015. I could go on. There's a 31-year-old female Palestinian terrorist from East Jerusalem who tried to run over Israeli security forces with her vehicle. There was the Machane Yehudim market stabbing attack. 2 female Palestinian terrorists, 14 and 16, stabbed and wounded a 17-year-old man with scissors in 2015. A 31-year-old female Palestinian terrorist from East Jerusalem carried out a car bomb attack in Ma'ale Adumim, just outside Jerusalem in 2015. 29-year-old female Palestinian terrorist who stabbed and wounded 2 Israeli civilians at the Damascus gate of Jerusalem's Old City, 2017. All of these terrorists, and I just named some of the top ones, were spending time in Israeli prisons for attempted murder. We're not talking about light crimes. We're talking about stabbings. We're talking about car bombings. We're talking about rammings, running over policemen in Israel, inflicting serious injuries. And yes, you just heard about one who was 14, one who was 16, but many of them we're talking about in their 20s, in their 30s. Israel agreed to release because they didn't actually these particular people, because one, there were women and some younger men, and also because they didn't have blood on their hands, meaning that they didn't actually succeed in murdering someone. It doesn't mean that they didn't try, because they were convicted of attempted murder, but they didn't actually succeed in murdering anyone. So that's the only reason Israel is agreeing to release them. As a reminder, Israel is releasing 3 terrorists for every 1 Israeli civilian hostage that Hamas is agreeing to release from Gaza. As you guys know, you've probably heard about Operation Ittai. It's a project started by Hayovel and the Israel Guys, our organization here in Israel's heartland. To date, since October 8th, the day after the war, we've already raised nearly $2.5 million, and we've brought pallets and pallets of life-saving equipment into Israel's biblical heartland. We have pallets and pallets more on the way. We're talking about protective vests, ceramic plates, helmets, flashlights, spotlights, medical supplies, you guys, you name it, thermal drones, regular drones, you name it, we're bringing it in. All of this equipment is going straight to the front lines. The communities of Judea and Samaria, where 500,000 Jewish people live in Israel's heartland, surrounded by about 2 million hostile Hamas-supporting Palestinian Arabs, and many of these communities underprotected and ill-equipped because so many of the men and the military and security forces have been called to the north and the south. Operation Ittai. Ittai was a man from the Bible who came and joined King David in his time of need. He was a foreigner, and so that's us. We're the foreigners, the people from the nations who support Israel, and now we're coming to stand alongside Israel in their hour of greatest need. You can go to operationittai.com or click the link down in the description below. Make sure to check out our impact page. We have photos and videos of the equipment we've already been able to pass out, the farms and small communities we've been able to equip, as we raise the funds, we're purchasing more equipment and bringing it straight to Israel's biblical heartland. So operationittai.com. Check the link down in the description below. Help equip and protect the Jewish communities of Israel's heartland today. So now that you have a clear picture of the terrorists who are being released from Israeli prisons, let's look at some of the Israeli hostages, the civilians who Hamas is in the process of releasing. You might have heard some of these names on yesterday's show. More and more civilians are being released. We hope and pray that more and more will be released until the entire group of 240-something civilians in Gaza will actually be released back to their families. Abigail Eden, she's 4. She turned 4 in captivity after her parents were murdered on October 7th. A 4-year-old little girl who had to celebrate her birthday in captivity, being nearly starved to death after her mother and her father were murdered on October 7th. Alma Avraham, she's 84 years old. We're talking about a grandmother, maybe a great-grandmother. Adrian Aviva Siegel, she's 62. Roni Krivoli, 25. Hagar Brodetz, age 40. Ofri Brodetz, age 10. Yuval Brodetz, age 8, 2 siblings. Oriya Brodetz, another sibling, age 4. Another 4-year-old little girl. Chen Goldstein Almag, 48. Adam Goldstein Almag, 17. Gal Goldstein, Tal Goldstein, 7 and 11 years old. Thankfully, this family of 4 was released. Daphna Eliakim, a 15-year-old. Ella Eliakim, an 8-year-old. Can I ask you a question? Did you hear any of those names and ages? Did you hear any of those who were actually terrorists? Did any of them try to kill anyone? Did any of them attempt murder? Did any of them try to run over another human being with their car or set off a bomb, a car bomb, or try to stab anyone with a pair of scissors or with a knife? Any of those names. The 4-year-old little girl who saw her parents murdered on October 7th, or an 8-year-old little girl. Any of them terrorists? Any of them attempted murders? Is there any justification for comparing these two groups of people and calling it a hostage exchange? No, it's hostages being released from Gaza and murderers being released from prison in Israel. That's what it is. Do not believe the lies going around on social media. I just want to mention one particular story. 12-year-old Hila Rotem was separated from her mother 2 days before being released. Israel wanted to have an agreement in the ceasefire that Hamas would not separate any family members, but Hamas came back and said, well, we don't know where some people are, so that might be impossible. Well, guess what happens? 12-year-old Hila gets released from captivity. Her mother does not. According to Hamas, maybe they don't know where she is, maybe they got separated. Well, guess what? According to Hila, they were together until 2 days ago when Hamas came and forcibly separated them, and then Hila was released. Now she doesn't know where her mother is. Her mother is still in captivity. So Hamas is actually not being honest. Surprise, surprise. One of the worst terrorist groups in the entire world, not telling the truth, not being honest. Maybe now you won't believe all the videos and photos circulating on social media of the Hamas terrorists putting their arm around some of the hostages right before they're released, or smiling at them, or waving at them as they're driving off. These guys murdered 1,400 Israelis, tortured civilians, have kept more than 200 people in captivity for 50 days. Well, guess what? Now reports are coming out. You will see more reports. You will see more of the stories from captivity coming out. Obviously, this process takes time as these hostages are released or treated medically, are reunited with their families, obviously are talking to Israel's security forces. But you will see more coming out. But so far, what we know, some of the hostages said for the last couple of weeks they've been nearly starved, surviving on maybe a little bit of rice. One group said they only got a pita a day per person for the last couple of weeks. So basically starving their hostages. But there's one more thing I want to talk about in this whole hostage situation, the hostages being released. And that is the other lie that Hamas is propagating on social media. Very well planned and well executed propaganda machine, because they know they've been seen very badly by the world for murdering and torturing so many thousands of people on October 7th. And they know that they don't have a good reputation because they have more than 200 hostages in captivity. And people are thinking, oh, they're probably torturing them, not treating them well. So guess what happens? Every time they release a new group of hostages, they have their arm around them. They're leading them out to the car. They help them up. They help the grandmothers up into the vehicles. And then they wave at them as they drive off. And they even tell the hostages to wave at the cameras. And so the world thinks, those hostages must have been treated amazing. Look at that girl. There was one girl who, on crutches, there was a screenshot taken, and it went all over Twitter, all over X. That face is not a face of someone who was treated badly or tortured. That face is someone who developed an amazing relationship with her captors. Well, guess what? That same girl was released, flown to the nearest hospital, and immediately sent into surgery to remove the bullet from her leg from where she was shot on October 7th. She was shot by those same terrorists, and then the bullet was left in her leg for 50 days, and it wasn't until she was released that she received critical life-saving care. That's not a good relationship with your hostages. I don't care what kind of screenshot you want to pull or what lie-filled, hate-filled propaganda you want to put on social media. There's a grandmother that was released that is in very serious condition being treated at a hospital right now. And like I said, from what is already coming out, many of the hostages saying they were starved, barely had enough food to eat, and families separated. We know this. This was not supposed to be supposed to be part of the agreement that Hamas would not separate families, but now a 12-year-old girl separated from her mother who's still in captivity. The bottom line is, it's a lie. Hamas propaganda on social media, it doesn't matter if activists share it or if other supposed experts share it. It's all a lie. One of the worst terrorist organizations in the world that tortured and slaughtered thousands of people 50 days ago. Why is anyone believing any images or videos or tweets put out by them or their supporters? This is a terrorist organization. It's a lie, and that is the bottom line. Lots more information coming. As you know, ceasefire ongoing and yet remains to be seen. Even if, as you're watching this video, if the ceasefire was violated, more hostages are released. But as you guys know, we will have all of the information right here at the Israel Guys. So make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and drop a comment down below as to what you think. If you want to give and support Operation Ittai, it's our project in Israel right now. We're bringing life-saving equipment and supplies into Israel's heartland to protect the 500,000 Jewish Israelis who are living in the communities of Judea and Samaria. We've already brought pallets and pallets into the land, and we have all of the knowledge and the process down now to, if we receive the money for the fundraiser, we are buying equipment and shipping it directly to Israel. You can check out the impact we're making. Just go to operationittai.com or the direct link down in the description below to get involved. Make sure you click on that impact page. You can see all the videos and photos of all the people we've been able to help so far. But guys, as always, tune out the fake news, tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We're here every single day, Monday through Friday, with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.